Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. My name is Don Swanker. We'll go ahead and call the Jackson County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. To my right is Lynn Flegel. To my left, Mike Steinis. We have Bjorn from IT, Lisa from the auditors, Luann over our executive assistant. And first up on the docket this morning is Jaden Flegel. Good morning, or Jaden Flegel. Good morning. Good morning. County engineer. One of Jaden.
First thing on the agenda is our 362nd Avenue Bridge Replacement Project. So our project was let through the DOT on May 20th. We had 3 bidders on that project and it was very competitive. For reference, our estimate was $913,000 for that bridge, and the low bid was Jim Schrader Construction, and their low bid amount was $838,711.72. So well under our estimate. There's 2 other bidders and they were both higher than our estimate, so good results.
Awesome.
And this project had part of the contract to allow for a late start date of next spring, so like March of 26, just because with the scope of this project and the later in the year that it was bid, which was due to the bridge being once considered eligible for being historic, that pushed the letting date back and subsequently pushes construction back. Well, the scope of that project is enough where it might be very questionable if that this whole bridge could get done yet this calendar year before winter. We can't, obviously, this is one road we do not want closed over the winter. So
yeah, so there's provisions in there. So if you can't, if it starts this fall, you have to finish it this fall. Is that
correct? Yep. And that's likely not gonna be the case. It'll just be started next spring. So
Is there a has to be finished date?
it's a working day, so they have 80 working days to do it.
I didn't know if there was some grant money involved with paying for this bridge, that there had to be completed by date. But
Oh, nope, just the general or the standard working days amount, which is
Okay.
the amount is dictated upon the type of project and everything involved. So I do have a resolution number to award this project to Jim Schrader Construction in the amount of $838,711.72.
I would move to approve the resolution awarding the project as presented with resolution number.
1120. I would second that.
we have a motion by Mike, second by Nin to approve a resolution 1120-06-03-2025 to approve Jim Schrader Construction in the amount of $838,711.72 for this 362nd Avenue Bridge replacement. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is an entrance permit for John Schwenker. It is a field entrance on 81st Street, Macocata Township, Section 3. Met site distance, requires culvert, and that's noted on here. Pretty standard. Our department recommends approval.
Make that motion.
I would second.
Got a motion by Nin, second by Mike to approve the field entrance for John Swanker of Macocata Township, Section 3 on 81st Street. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
I just wanted to give a couple of updates. As of late last week, our destination lights for our fiscal year 25 TSIP grant have actually been installed and working. So
And I got a couple calls, compliments on them. Really
they do look
an
good.
improvement and well appreciated.
So we're still in the final closeout stuff as far as receiving all the certifications and working with the DOT on the closeout stuff, but they are installed and working.
Good.
We did receive within the last 2 weeks notification from the DOT on our county bridge construction fund that we applied for the Moorhead Bridge. We were unfortunately unsuccessful at that grant. There were 3 other projects that scored higher than our project. So what that means is I'm investigating the repair of that bridge. Cause we're still waiting on the status of Ray's grant determination for Iron Bridge, and we're expected to know at the end of June for that. But there's some unknowns with everything going on with the current administration as far as timelines of grants and all that. So, but we originally planned to hear by the end of June. Still hoping that's the case, but I guess I'm just planning for worst case scenario that we are unsuccessful at that to start moving forward with the repair for Moorhead Bridge. And another reason is due to the Chenoweth Bridge, which is just north of that on 82nd Avenue, is planned to be let this November, with construction likely to start this winter for demolition, and it would be something that be quite the inconvenience to have two bridges within a mile of each other over the Macocota River out.
What is it, contract on the channel work?
How much?
Who got the bid on that one?
It hasn't been yet. It'll be in
Okay.
November.
So, I mean, do we have a time frame on the process of repair bid or
So
completion?
I'll have to talk to our contractor to see if it's something that can be, I'd like to try to get it done this fall or by the end of this fall. So that way when Chenoweth closes for construction, that at least Moorhead would be open.
Mhm.
And it'd still be open to a weight restricted. It wouldn't be unrestricted.
Still restricted.
But at least for like your passenger cars and everything under the posted limit could.
Which was 15, is that correct?
Correct, and that's what it would be posted back up to. But moving forward with with the design for that repair, and then subsequently the cost of the repair itself. Just planning for when channel work gets done. And with currently an unknown of when Moorhead could get replaced. Now, that being said, I'll apply to this project again next year for our county bridge fund, and maybe we'll score well enough to get awarded next year, but there's just no, with not being awarded that grant, and assuming worst case scenario, we don't get the raise grant, there's no timeline for the replacement of Moorhead Bridge.
I think you'd score good if it was closed.
I think the other bridges, I'll send you guys with the DOT, the scoring of what other counties got awarded. We only missed it by a couple of points, I do believe, or like 4 points. And other ones may have scored higher just due to the amount of traffic, the traffic
Yeah.
volume on them. Cause like, for example, our Iron Bridge scores higher than Moorhead, which that's why we got the $2 million the year we applied, but some of these other bridges that counties got awarded were likely on paved roads that see significant amount of traffic, which plays into part of the scoring, along with other things, but that is probably most likely one area that why they were able to score higher.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll do our best. Let us know. Do you have a time frame on when we'll know about design?
So Origin is actually working on the final design right now. So I would expect that within a couple of months.
Okay,
And then it's just working with our contractor when he can come in and do the work. So I'll push as hard as we can.
okay.
Had some compliments, little good compliments on 435th too, so drove it, had a chance to drive it, nice road.
Yes, that is finally all completed. Yeah, it looks real good. It's nice to see the fruition of our successful grants that we applied for and received. It's nice to see the fruition of it.
Yeah, with the safety stuff, yeah.
Cool, thank you very much.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Next on the agenda is visitors and citizens. I don't see anybody online and there's nobody here, so if somebody pops on later, we reserve the right, we can let them speak, but moving on to next, Elizabeth Townsend, Dempsey County Health Administrator, departmental update. Good morning.
Good morning.
How we doing?
Cold in here.
Wow.
He's working.
Hallelujah.
Parts of the building, anyway.
Oh, not all is working?
Yeah, they got some air bubbles in the pipes, so.
Ah.
Common stuff, the way it sounds.
Okay, so I have this, Jackson County Safety Manual that we reviewed, the safety committee reviewed and made changes to, last Tuesday. So you guys should have a copy of that final draft. Any changes that were made were mostly just, a few little piddly things throughout, and then we removed a big chunk of the verbiage that talks about disciplinary, and we referred it back to the county handbook. So
So does this cover all of Jackson County or all our employees or certain sectors?
This
or-
covers everybody, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and
So we tried to keep it pretty simple, but to include everything and we've had Todd Kenny has been very helpful and we had
Becky,
yep. So it's, and I believe we're reviewing it every year, right? And yeah. So not really much changes from previously, just date changes and things like that.
okay,
So we would wanna,
you need action on that?
yes.
I would move to approve the safety manual as presented.
I would second that.
got a motion by Mike, second by Dan to approve the May of 25 Jackson County Safety Manual revision as presented.
And then we would need to, do I give those to Luann and then you guys go like, okay.
Or
You just
give it to Lisa. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay, and then we had our Board of Health meeting last Tuesday. We had increase in our well permit fee. It's a $25 fee that has to go back to the DNR, so that's why we included that in there. They updated their well tracking system, and so they're able to track if we pay them or not now. So I didn't realize that we were supposed to be paying them $25, and I don't think any county really does that. So anyway, that's why we included that in there. We actually had a decrease in our private well grant funds for this FY 26 year, so it's a decrease of $5,000, which isn't a lot. It was basically just a reflection of the fact that everybody got a really big reimbursement last year on the county side, so they had to cut back a little bit.
Okay.
Let's see, what else? We got our $6,000 reimbursement from the DNR for our commercial septic tank cleaner inspections. That's a contracted service we do for them. DMAC has some continued education that's free to us through the EPA grant, so I'll be attending a few trainings this June and July, including a pool inspection training, just to see if it's something that we want to do. I know that we've talked about increasing services, and that would be one of the ones that Scott County does for us. I believe we have 4 to 5 pools in the county that we would be doing inspections for if we could take that back.
You talking just municipal structures or?
Public.
Yeah, any public pools. So I did gather some information to see if it was feasible for us to take it on. I think it would be. I pulled the data from Scott County. It takes them about 2 weeks out of the year to do the inspections, but that's including like their drive time and all that. So it kind of makes sense for us to do those, and it's money in our pocket. Let's see what else. I just we're pretty much on track for permits this year. All our other numbers are pretty much staying the same. Our soil analysis program is doing really well. It's bringing in quite a bit of revenue. We did kind of lose tracks and stuff just because of the geo permitting, and it wasn't tracking some of the information that we were wanting. I don't know, it's kind of confusing. We have to go in and like kind of adjust some of the tracking information. So what's showing on geo isn't accurate, so we have to sit down and figure out, get a solid number for things. But anyway,
So is this the hand thing that you're using yet too, or what's our status on the? I know.
yeah, so I thought we were ordering, well, the hydraulic probe is in line, it's being made. I think we're just gonna end up paying for it this next fiscal year, yeah, because it doesn't really matter to me. It's the same money, it's all in there. We're just gonna be over what we budgeted, but it's still money that is just sitting in there, so.
That's a lot more work though.
Yeah, so I'm doing right now, I do the push probe. It's a lot of work, physically, and we should be checking 3 borings at each site, but it works. It's just, it can be, if depending on like if the ground is really wet or if there's like heavy clay content, it's really hard to get the probe out of the ground.
Mhm.
So, but we're doing it, and the grant did pay for that probe, so. Ordinance updates, so, the state made their changes to chapter 69 for the onsite wastewater, so I'm gonna be looking at redoing our ordinance. There's also an ordinance that we're gonna do for our on-site wastewater installers. It's gonna specify the requirements for them. And then it was brought up at our Board of Health meeting that we would do an ordinance for the Clean Air Act. So it would basically eliminate like people's ability to vape in public areas where they aren't allowed to smoke cigarettes. It's just something that got brought up at the board meeting. I know that, Julie Byrne had kind of brought it to the board's attention, and it sounds like they want me to kind of look into putting something together. So she had sent out a few different examples of those, and so we would take them to the board probably end of summer, I would say, for review to determine if it's something they want to do. But it seemed like everybody was in support of it. Yeah. We currently have no violations. Everybody's been really good.
Cool.
And that's all I have.
Any questions for Linda?
All right.
Run smooth.
All right, yeah.
What's it, on that boring machine, is there any lead time as for?
For it to, they said it's like 10 months. So I placed the order in, I think it was April, and then they said that they would put it on the line, so it's being made. I just have to email them and say, hey, we're not gonna pay for it until, July. We can pay for part of it in July. I mean, it may even be longer. We could possibly wait till next July to pay the other half, but I don't see why that would be necessary. You guys,
So you would pay for part of it this July?
yeah. I mean, originally we were gonna do a budget amendment, and
Right. Oh, it's tough to pay for something. we don't-
well, I think when I talked to Shelley, she didn't understand why we couldn't just pay for all in the one fiscal year. So it sounds like it's not a problem to do that, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Let us know.
Okay.
Thank you much.
Have a good day.
All right. You ready?
I am.
All right. Have zoning coming up. Let us know what you got.
All right.
Morning.
Good morning. It's Becca Flu Hop.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, maybe an introduction.
What is that, Becca? I'm sorry, maybe I did it.
Yes, I just wanted to put in the flu hop because it's a doozy. but-
Yeah.
I gotta spell that.
FLUHOP.
Yeah.
The zoning commission met on May 19th and they're recommending to the board of supervisors for the Tyler Diaper parcel.
Okay, run that by me one more time. I did.
Yeah, repeat it.
Jackson County ordinance number 317.
Yeah,
The zoning commission recommended to be sent to the board of supervisors.
okay. And this is,
Rezoning.
is,
So this is an ordinance. So with that, don't we need to do a public hearing and 3 readings? Okay, so we'll be setting
We said,
Setting the public hearing.
the public hearing.
okay, so as I understand it correctly, now all the surrounding landowners get notified too if I read the zoning.
They have been
Proposed
notified,
zoning, okay.
yes, they have been notified for the zoning commission.
Okay,
And for the public hearing,
so all this is to set the public hearing for
Yeah.
that.
correct.
So is this a 10 and 20 or 4 and 20?
Are you making a recommendation for June 24th?
I believe that's what Luann had said it at. Yeah. 10 and 20, Luann.
I would make a motion to set the public hearing for Jackson County Ordinance 317 for June 24th at 9?
Yeah.
10 AM.
I would second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to recommend setting a public hearing for Jackson County ordinance number 317. The rezoning of a subdivision for, what is it, Tyler Zipper?
Rezoning of a class.
Yeah, just
two.
class of the zoning
Yeah.
of class.
Yeah.
Rezoning classification. So it's June 24th, 10 o'clock. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
We'll see you then.
You bet.
Okay.
10 and 20, that's what I
Thanks,
read
Becca.
that on.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Becky's not here. We want to give her a call, let her know we're ahead of schedule, and with that, Andrew's not here. So. We said we want to do what you can.
Sure. I need a motion to approve. Today. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 board proceedings and work session. And the May 30th, 2025 special board meeting is written by Auditor Smith and authorized publication in the official newspapers.
I'll make that motion.
I would second.
Got a motion by Nan, second by Mike to approve the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 and the board proceedings and work sessions and the May 30th, 2025 special board meeting as written by Auditor Smith and authorized publication in the official newspapers. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve and authorize the auditor's office to issue warrants in the publication of the claims listing in the amount of $245,477.42.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to approve and authorize the auditor's office to issue warrants and the publication of the claims listing in the amount of $245,477.42. And no, that's pretty much just kind of run of the mill bills, but we did have a $50,000 Destination Iowa, our partial payment for that. And we did have a $64,000 Spruce Creek Harbor, the payment on that. Any other discussion?
It was still refreshing, even with them two.
Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve a handwritten warrant to Irma Nyberg for a lost voided check for $800 for a conservation dock lease refund.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Got a motion by Nan, second by Mike to approve a handwritten warrant to Irma Nyberg for a lost voided check of $800 for a conservation dock lease refund. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
I need a motion to accept, place on file, and authorize the chair and auditor signatures on the county recorder's report of fees collected for the month of May 2025 in the amount of $59,734.79.
Okay.
So moved.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to accept, place on file, and authorize chair and auditor signatures on the county recorder's report of fees collected for the month of May 2025 in the amount of $59,734.79. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
Would you like me to continue, or I can yield to Becky?
It doesn't matter. We got to come back to you anyway because of the public hearing. So Becky, you're up.
Mark.
Cold in here. I don't want to stay in here any longer than I have to.
It can be colder.
Just 6 months ago, we were finding
It was not, well, even like last Friday, it was like 81 and there's like, so yeah, I'm not complaining. Our health insurance renewal has come in through the Iowa Community Trust, which is an insurance risk pooling among public employers that we purchase a fully funded plan through. And we will be renewing a Walmart plan that we have now. We will be renewing on option number 12 through the trust effective July 1st, 2025. And I would ask for a motion to approve the Walmart renewal through the Iowa Community Trust option 12 and authorize Becky Chapin to sign the renewal documents, including compliance paperwork as required.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Nan, second by Mike to approve the Wellmark renewal through the Iowa Community Trust option 12 and authorize Becky Chapin to sign the renewal documents, including compliance paperwork as required. Any other discussion?
Do you have any details as far as percentage increase or anything like that?
So our percentage was 10.79% for our group. So what they do is all of the groups within the trust are community rated. So they consider our claims, our group size, the age of our a whole bunch of factors, and then they rate that kind of like our ICAP and our work comp insurance. So it actually benefits us. This is one of the larger increases that we've seen. I think last year it was like 4%. It's been really good to be in the trust. We've had a lot of high claims over the last year, and like the last 6 months, we've had quite a few large claims themselves. So they do factor all those obviously into the renewal. So this year was a little bit higher. Still very much an affordable plan from where we were at before we joined the trust, when we were just purchasing through Walmart directly.
And when we budgeted for next year, what did we budget? Anticipated, was it 10 and 15 or did we?
We were actually within budget on this renewal when we looked at the overall funds and functions.
Okay.
So we were within budget.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then zoning administrator Lori Rowling is retiring August 1st. Historically, we have provided for an early retirement incentive where we provide up to $5,000 per year insurance premium for each of 3 years due to the salary and benefit cost savings incurred by one retiring prior to the age of 65. Lori has requested this as well. I would ask for a motion to approve the retirement incentive agreement for voluntary early retirement between Jackson County and Lori Rowling as presented.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nin to approve the retirement incentive agreement for voluntary early retirement between Jackson County and Lori Rowling as presented. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So that does require I was gonna say you can sign it now, or I can, because I'm gonna drop it off to you. Lori's out of the office this week, so she will sign it when she gets back and that'll be final.
Okay,
And that's all I have for you.
thank you much.
Just one signature. though.
All right. Luann, you want to go?
Good morning.
Morning.
Calendar this week. This afternoon, starts the downtown assessments, from the Iowa Economic Development Association in Bellevue. So there are several different, times, listed in your calendars for any of you that want to do that. Tomorrow on Wednesday, June 4th, they will have morning sessions from 8 in the morning to 11:45. Then at 5 p.m. Tomorrow night is a Wednesdays Are Possible meeting at Innovate 120 for any of you. And that is a little later time than usual. They've been running them at 4:30. Thursday, June 5th at 9 a.m. is a tag meeting by Zoom for Don. And again, that's a time change, much earlier than what they've been doing. And at noon on Thursday is the Iowa Economic Development Association's public presentation on their downtown assessment for Bellevue, for anyone. On Monday, June 9th at 7:30 a.m. is an Early Childhood Iowa Executive Committee meeting by Zoom for NIN. And at 4 o'clock that afternoon is a Iowa Health and Human Services Disability Services Provider Town Hall by Zoom for any of you. And our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, June 10th at 9 a.m. And that afternoon, at 3:30 will be my Coconut River Watershed Management Authority Executive Committee meeting by Zoom for Don.
Good.
The only other thing I want to talk about, it require any action, but I put in your packets information on the Iowa Regional Housing Authority Commissioner appointments. This is put in there the requirements for it because it is rather specific. We have had Kathy Seifert on that for a couple of years, and her term is expiring this year at the end of August. So we'll need to either reappoint her or find somebody. But the other position has been vacant since about 2020. And we haven't really made a concerted effort to find someone. So I can advertise that in the paper if that's what you want me to do. I gave you the requirements so you can look for somebody, but I've got an ad made for the paper. I don't know how much luck we'll have with that because it's a very specific sort of thing.
Is it on our website, that vacancy?
Probably not yet. I'm not sure if I did that, but I will do that. We'll add it to what we have.
You know,
On the
if
website.
it's on there, then people will, if they're looking to.
Right, yes.
I know we struggled with this committee in the city too.
Right.
A lot of times we didn't even have a representative, or we got one, so.
Well, we had the two elderly sisters on there for years and years, and then they both kind of left at the same time. And that's when we got Kathy Seifert, but we really haven't filled the other position, so.
We'll have to double her pay, make sure she stays.
Yeah.
All right,
That was it.
I would definitely put it on the website at least, so that it's out there before looking at
we
something
want,
they can volunteer for.
well, if we put an ad in the paper, is there any other boards or commissions with expirations coming up in the next 4 months or so, 5 months?
I've been
Yep.
trying to
Yeah,
do a group at a time like that, so whatever's through
Yeah.
September will be the next vacancies that I will advertise like
Okay.
that, so.
Yeah, I would make sure we throw it in on that at least. So.
Okay,
Cool, thank you very much.
thank you.
And the radio station gets that too, I imagine?
It gets sent yes, the public notice.
All right. Well, and Becky, we had boards and commissions. Anybody got anything they want to add or say?
I don't.
I guess we attended the senior luncheon that they had, and that was very successful this past week, and they had a lot of people from out of town, and
Well, they had almost 75 people, I think
Yeah.
74, 75 people show up, and catered meal and games in the afternoon and luau theme, and it was a fun time, so. It's glad to see some activity down there, and it's growing and getting utilized more, so yeah. You got anything, Mike?
Not really. Met with Baldwin City Council, Mayor. All went well.
Okay. Well, we take a brief recess. All right, we'll go ahead and reconvene at this time, and next up we have Andrew Long with the Jackson County Jail Administrator.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. So just an update first here on our numbers for this month. So currently we're down a little bit from what we were. We're at 27 inmates, 26 males and 1 female. That female is a Jackson County female. Unfortunately, she's kind of tying up a whole pod right now. Our 2 special status cells are occupied by ones that probably need a little bit more than she would. So she's kind of tying up a pod at the moment. So 13 of our own and 14 of Scott County. In May, the high point we had was 38 inmates. I think it was a couple days in a row we had 38. On average, though, we we're at 32.74. Revenue for May was $33,495 from Scott County. $715 of this was taken off, or I'm sorry, $715 was taken off, which is included in that figure. And that was the one I think I talked to you guys last month about that I gotten into it with another inmate we had to house. So there was a $715 reduction from what we otherwise would have had. So overall running, we're at $132,220 coming for revenue. I'm in the process of trying to really narrow down exactly what it does cost to keep an inmate in our jail. We figured out exactly meal cost per meal, what it costs. We're having to reorder hygiene supplies, so trying to figure out in there too, if we supply an inmate with this once a week, what does that actually amount to? So kind of in the process of trying to figure out the exact cost. So we kind of better compare, the cost and the revenue that way. 41 people booked in last month. An all-time high for how many checks our correctional officers have had to do on inmates at 67,440. So that's every time that the inmates are being checked on by correctional officers. That means eyes actually visually on them, not through cameras, looking at each individual inmate. 8,527 inmate-specific logs were made. So that's essentially saying what each inmate is doing at that given time, whether it be suicide watch, intoxication, that kind of a thing. Also pretty high on the meals, 2,811 meals prepared over the last month. So that's gotten to be pretty time consuming. We actually, here about a month ago, had to bring over a piece of countertop that was in the shed still for the microwaves because we were running out of room for all the trays for making meals. So we were able to do that and recycle that piece at least, but it's definitely increasing.
That's good and bad.
Good and bad. Yeah, good and bad. Obviously, a little more labor intensive, a little more cost that way, but the revenue, is the kind of what we have to look at there to outweigh that. A few things over the last month that kind of happened. We had a window that was damaged by one of our prisoners. What had happened was he's handcuffed in the front for court. He then took his hands up and smacked it into the window when he got held after court, resulting in the window being cracked. Jeff replaced that glass very quickly. We're very appreciative of that. A correctional officer also received minor injuries in dealing with this inmate. When she's trying to remove the handcuffs, he yanked away from her, causing her hand to bang pretty hard into the chow hole. So he was charged for the criminal mischief on the glass as well as interference with injury for what happened with the correctional officer. We currently have two PRN, offers made to people, contingent upon the background, physical and MPI. One of them is a very experienced Anamosa State Penitentiary, employee with a history in nursing background. The other one was a very experienced, Clinton County Correctional Officer that retired last summer, so, kind of those two PRN offers out there that we're excited about based on their experience. We have run into some staffing and overtime issues here in the last few weeks, particularly the weekends. Of course, as we get closer to, or into summer graduation season, we have people taking paid time off as it is. We also get busier, obviously in the summer. So with that, we've had a couple of full-time COs had to give up their days off on the weekend to come in and help out with stuff. I've actually been called in myself the last 3 weekends just because we didn't really have anyone to work on that. And that's due to illness. We had a couple transports up to the ER, that kind of a thing. So we are experiencing a little bit of short staffing and then overtime just associated with that. Just kind of a shout out to the correctional officers then too. They found some drugs located on a gentleman yesterday, so he got felony charges out of that. He was arrested by one of the city agencies, was brought in. Correctional officers searched his property, located drugs. So he was charged with possession of contraband in a detention facility as a result of that search. We've had some other good stuff coming out of cell searches and area searches as well too. So they're definitely working hard to make sure they're doing things right, and it's being very productive. And then finally, the last thing I kind of have on here, or I guess two other things I have on here. We handed out an award at the Optimist Law Enforcement Appreciation Dinner here last week to Nick Hager. Nick did a lot of work on our computer systems, that Guardian system that does the handhelds, which much like anything, it's new, so it doesn't work right all the time. So he's very dedicated to that. A lot of times he's working on it off duty, calling him off duty, trying to figure out what they need to do. He also does a lot of statistics with it to kind of see where we're at, what shifts are excelling at, where they're failing, where we can improve, where we can recognize, hey, this shift is doing this well, maybe other people should do it this way. And I think it gives a good view to the correctional officers too of, hey, this is where you're not doing the best, but this is where your particular shift is succeeding in comparison to others. So especially as we're in this new jail, it kind of helps us be able to see what's working well and what's not based on the stats that he's able to gather through that. And a lot of that he does on his time off. So we did give him an award to voluntarily on his time off without compensation. So we did give him an award of appreciation for that. Otherwise, like I said, our count is kind of down right now with Scott County at 14. I did send them an email saying, hey, we've got room. Feel free to send us what you have, male or female. And looking at other numbers, it's good to know at least we are trying to fill it up. In comparison, Delaware County last month was at 10 inmates on average, and we were at 32.7. So we're making the efforts at least to fill it up, which is something I think we'd be proud of. So
I have a few things if I can.
Yeah.
Warranty work, how are the quirks with the jail, all that stuff? Are we getting prompt reactions? Are we getting actual solutions or?
Some stuff we are, some stuff we're not.
Okay. Is the communication through John? Are we able to talk to contractors now or?
So Jeff has been handling most of that through John to make sure that we're following the proper channels.
Okay.
So the majority of the times when something physically goes wrong with the jail, we fill out a maintenance request. Jeff evaluates it, and when he knows much more about the physical stuff than I do, evaluates it and then fills a maintenance or a warranty request out if needed, if it's not something that he can address or fix. In terms of my end, the main ones I deal with have been SGTS, and that's based on the technicals of it, the computer requirements, that kind of a thing. Our representative for customer success manager, whatever the title is, from SGTS is now gone from there. And so we currently have their VP trying to help with that. But it's status quo as far as SGTS.
We need to stay on it. I know John said at 11 months, he wants to do another walkthrough to make sure where everything needs to be fixed and that is fixed and all that kind of stuff, but we need to stay on that. I know you and Jeff are doing a good job with that, but we don't want things to fall through the crack, but,
Well,
Matt?
If we're having a hard time now, we don't want to get to.
Well,
And then we're still having a hard.
well, we need to continue doing what we're doing, but
Right.
John says he's actually gonna come back and do a walkthrough. Then I asked him about the Together We Build building. Is he gonna do that? Cause he should be here.
right,
But, we just wanna make sure we stay on top of that stuff, so.
absolutely.
Cause he talked about pulling bonds and all that stuff, so.
And like I said, Jeff has been phenomenal when it comes to that kind of a thing too, and helping us out. I'm pretty well done when it comes to construction type anything, you know, that's not my area of expertise by any means. Jeff is very well versed in it, so, like, so when we have issues, we take it to him. He runs me through the issue and tells me what he thinks on it and how to proceed, and if, you know, he thinks he needs to file a warranty request, or if it's something he thinks he can repair himself. That glass, for example, he handled the glass that was broken because it probably wasn't gonna be covered under warranty since it was
Right.
intentional damage. So he very quickly, promptly did that for us, so, like I said, he deserves very much credit for that, that end of it.
Mattress work, there was talk about mattresses falling apart in that inspection from Delbert. Was that,
From what I see, it's not terrible by any means, the mattresses. It seems to be just normal use. I get a feeling there's a few things usually Delbert, specifically when he goes in to do these, looks at in every jail and kind of keeps on with every jail. And I have a feeling this year was mattresses. So it's a case where, you know, once it does become unusable by code, we'll have to address it, but I don't view these as unusable by code.
okay,
So,
Well, there ain't a whole lot to the structure of them to begin with.
no, that's just it.
I'm not guessing you're not gonna get it.
They're not
later
serious.
for inspection.
Right.
You're gonna get tacked somewhere for something tic-tac, you know, I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Well, if he's not finding that, he's gonna find something else. That's just like a hospital
I mean,
inspection.
I also go back to your expenses, your revenue expenses. I would think, you know, when they justify their overnight or daily expense, that there is a formula that they use, I would think, you know. Hopefully, we're within that formula or above that formula, I would think.
Right.
The way everything sounds. And then again, and it really sounds like it's a good learning experience for all you guys, the way the operation's running and everybody's doing their part. I'm a little concerned about morale and overtime. I hear the overtime a lot. So, you know, we have to keep track of, if we can, what's our best option here?
Right.
You know, is it to have another full-time employee and say, hey, we gotta keep morale up, we gotta keep wear and tear down here, you know, on personnel, if that's the case.
I mean, I guess I would be questioning, you know, we have our PRN people. Are some of them maybe not living up to the expectations of what we're wanting? Do we need to relook at that? That, like, kind of like Mike says, maybe we don't have as many PRNs, but it's filled with something else, a part-time or something, you know.
Right. Yeah, what's difficult with PRN? There's a couple things that are really difficult with PRN. The first thing is training, just because there's hard to get that consistent level of training. Most people that are PRN have other jobs. So we're working around their other jobs. And a lot of the on-call stuff we run into the weekend, whatever, sometimes it's not necessarily that they're not willing to come in, but they're out of town or they have commitments, you know. They've been drinking, so they can't come in. There's a variety of things that might come up that just doesn't work with PRNs. You know, let's say they work 5 days out of the week. They're not going to want to work both days of the weekend. Full-time employees are definitely much easier to use. There needs to be some PRN for relief. Obviously, you know, like I said, we've had full-time employees quite a bit here lately having to come in on their days off because we don't have a PRN available. And that kind of starts to decline in morale just simply because, hey, I'm finally off
You
for
get
the
burned out.
weekend. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, myself, been in the last 3 weekends.
So, and I was alluding to that, you know, it's a really a good learning experience for the whole system. But then if we perceive that we can keep our counts up, then it's a whole lot easier to say, hey, we need one more or whatever it is, you know. I mean, right now, we still have quite a bit of unknowns, but if we can keep our accounts up like that and see the revenue come in, you know, it makes it a whole lot easier to say, well, it's justified, you know.
I mean, I'm certain if the board is agreeable to it, I think it would be an appropriate time here in the near future to evaluate staffing.
I would think
I
after.
know you guys asked
operation-
about it last year, about a fourth full-time person. You know, we cut it to three, that's what was in the budget and stuff, but we were willing to look at it and see how things go. The one thing I'd like to see on this is I see you have right now a running total of 132,220 is what you brought in. I'd like to see that number. I'd also like to see what's actually collected. You know, so
In
What's that?
terms,
as what we've actually collected, we have hard cash in our hand. This is billed through the NMA. We haven't been paid
oh,
for
sure,
all of that yet.
okay,
So I'd like to see that number, but I'd like to see what we actually have in our hand and we have been billed and received
sure,
back. So we can keep track of that number, because the one thing I wanted to talk about today is we had kind of we had set two funds up where 50% would go into a debt reduction fund. So in 2032, when we can make it an advance payment, that can go to help pay it off, as we told the voters of Jackson County. The other 50% would go into a CIP, and then brought up with all these extra people and stuff coming in, budgets are higher, we're exceeding budget capacity. Can some of that be used to offset some of those budget shortfalls because increased supply needs and all that kind of stuff? That's something I think we need to look at. You know, not that I want to take away the CIP, because I remember back those little water valves that caused the faucets to spray across the room. They're all plastic. Jeff said when he talked to Clinton, within 6 months, they'd replaced them with brass, and they're like $600 a piece. Well, if it saves time, you know, for Jeff going in and fixing these, and it's a constant issue, is that something we need to look at, that, you know, those kind of things. But
right.
do we want to take some of that CIP 50% to help cover overages for food and whatever? Not that I want to short the CIP, but, you know, do we divvy that percentage up a little bit
To me,
if we need to?
I think you need to really work on what is it truly costing us to bring them in?
Okay,
You know, what is their meals? What is on a, you know, an average inmate's personal necessity items, you know, type of thing. Because I also don't want to be taxing Jackson County residents because we're housing Scott County residents.
sure,
So that's where to me, out of this 132,000, we should be covering them expenses for them residents, or
Right.
them inmates.
Yep, absolutely,
You know, so I would like to see a breakout per inmate if we're averaging 32, you know.
Mhm.
So if we say an inmate, if we're bringing, I don't even know what our true figures are is what we're bringing in, but just say we're bringing in $100 and it's costing us 75. Really, out of what we're splitting up should only be that 25, I think,
right,
because we should be paying for our inmate first and then banking the money that's left over, you know, that way. So I think it's really important to get this meal costs, personal supply costs hammered out to know what it is costing us.
sure. Yeah, I can get that done. Do you want it sooner? Would you like it next month when I come in, or did you want to schedule something?
Yeah, I think that's fine, but the thing is, again, I don't think you're reinventing the wheel here. I think there's gotta be a formula, countywide, statewide. Federally, you know, what it's costing you, so there's
Sure.
gotta be a formula to figure what your cost is per day.
And like I said, we have the meal costs for each particular
Right.
meal. So that's easy to determine. Like I said, the hygiene stuff, I can simply divide out on what they're supplied each week. So that should not be difficult.
Or maybe the way we look at it is like, let's say we bring in $100,000. We have this 50-50 split, but maybe we look at before we do the split, okay, it cost us this much to house these prisoners from Scott County this month. That can get reimbursed, and then we split what's remaining
Yeah,
into the 50-50
Mhm.
CIP and the debt reduction.
Sure, well, that would make sense.
because if you just split.
We want to make sure it goes through the auditor process and,
You don't have it budgeted correctly.
well,
It's gonna
that,
take a budget amendment to do that.
well, that's
Yeah, and
something we
we'll
need
do
to
what we
look
have
at
to,
because.
but you know, again, I just wanna appreciate, we had a municipal league meeting over there at the EOC last week and had a tour and went well. Thought everybody was impressed and Looked like it was running pretty smooth to me.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
our staff is definitely working very well together to make sure everything
Yeah.
gets done.
appreciate that and appreciate your staff and pass that along to them if you would.
Absolutely.
We're willing to try to help make it as good as we can get it.
I appreciate that very much. And then just so I make sure I'm keeping myself on track here. Did you want to look at a work session for the other stuff, or do you just want me to kind of give it to you when I update you next?
Just when you
I should
update
Get it
us.
updated, yeah, we need to keep
That one-
on it, like I said, if we can physically think we can keep our counts up there, then we need to probably adjust, yeah.
And when you talk to Lisa about, we splitting up this money, we look at that, also talk to make sure we're getting the right, tax exempt letters and stuff sent to the suppliers you're ordering from.
Sure.
So we don't get in trouble again with our audit because paying sales tax and not getting it back. And, if we can not pay the sales tax, that's the best thing. So there's forms and things need to be sent to certain suppliers and things to make sure that's all taken care of. So,
Sounds good.
all right,
All right. Well, thank you much, everybody.
you bet.
Andrew, for the update.
Have a good day. Yeah, you too.
Well, it is 10:01.
Jim, would you call Shelley over? Thank you.
It is 10:01, so we'll go ahead and open the public hearing on the FY budget 25 or FY 25 budget amendment.
Thanks.
And did you get any feedback?
I have not received any feedback at all, no.
Lisa, did you guys get any feedback?
No, it's just that time of the year where budgets, there are some budgets that are running considerably short. Even with this budget amendment, we'll have some departments still running considerably short, so we'll have to have those tough discussions. I know that an email went out last night. Shelley sent an email out saying, please make sure that we're in our last 30 days here, make sure that you are doing needs instead of wants. And we just need to kind of just shallow breathe a little bit. And Shelley, do you have any comments or questions or anything when it comes to the budget amendment?
Just that I increased the jail budget. For salary, additional overtime and inmate food, natural gas, electric and water for the new building.
You increased it by how much?
133,100. And that's gonna still make it really, really close.
We had Becky do an estimate of salaries for the rest of the year, and
It's gonna
it's
be
less than 15,000.
Yeah. So they're gonna have to function for June on less than 15,000. So and that's including today's claims that were approved. So
15,000 for supplies and stuff?
for supplies, for utilities,
Is
for,
that feasible?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
In my mind. it
And they
is,
know
but-
it.
I'm sending out an email. Well, no, I did. I emailed them last night after I sent the claims list.
If not, we're gonna hold claims, the last claims period, we'll hold claims.
Well, this is a little bit of alarming because you say you just inflated their budget, salary, supplies and all that, $133,000. We need to look at our budgeting process to see, this is just for the jail or the whole sheriff's department?
The sheriff's, the whole jail, the jail, the deputies, the whole thing.
Okay, because, I was sitting there looking, is that our mismanagement of budgeting? Did we not see things appropriately? What unforeseen things were there? Because, my point is, if we did everything like we've done in the past, and last year it seemed like they had somewhat of a surplus. Now we're 133,000 short, mainly because of the jail is the only real change. And we've only brought in 132, or we're billing through May, $132,000. So does that mean all the extra people are just helping us break even?
Well, I'm assuming a large part of that is the jail employees, the overtime that they've had to due for the new jail and all of that, the new expenses that,
Well, I think we were kind of clueless on what their
Yeah.
utilities were gonna
Right.
be, and I think they came in way higher than what
yes.
we were anticipating at all.
Thank God we put the solar panels in or we'd really be in trouble.
Well, and I don't know that that's giving us a big,
That's sarcasm.
I know. But they may not.
I don't think you need to beat yourself up over
No.
this.
No,
because if you think
that,
about- what I'm
that's something
saying-
where we need to gut check and make sure going into the next
I mean,
budget.
think about this. This was done, this budget was done, I mean, this budget started July 1st of 2024 through June 30th of 2025, which means that we started working on this in November, December, January of 23 going into 24. So I mean, that's what you need to take into account. And so much of this budget in the FY 25 budget was an unknown.
And I agree with that. I understand that completely, but Andrew just sat here and this is something we could bring up in next meeting. This was the first time he really talked or mentioned overtime. Because the
We talked
census
about
and
overtime
stuff,
last month, because they were bringing people in,
He
and they were
didn't.
processed. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
not much.
He said that they were having to bring extra people in when they were processing inmates from other counties. They
Yeah.
had to bring people in. That's
Well,
overtime.
and then the other part of it is, at the time that we did this year's budget, we were under the impression when we calculated how much for room and board, that we would already be in the new facility by July first. So we lost,
Yeah.
6 months, so.
I think we had
Think about, you basically lost this amount of revenue.
200,000.
Correct.
Well, and we had to pay other counties for those room and board costs, so
Right.
we had to.
So we didn't have income, plus we had expenses.
But the tail of the tape now is this FY 26 budget.
Right.
And we've yet to, I mean, obviously, we budgeted better for the next coming fiscal year, hopefully. So we kind of know, but again, it's not gonna be too hard for us to figure our overtime or what that is, and when we have that work session, we can determine what our best option moving forward, you know.
You came up with a staffing model and that's what you budgeted on. If that staffing model changes, the budget's gonna change.
Obviously.
Right, yeah. So I mean, this was the best
It's
guess.
a learning process, just like you're going through, you know.
And like I said, PRN staff is very hard, and
Well, obviously, that's a tough deal to say, yeah, I'm gonna volunteer to come in my days off and the grandkids are coming, well, things change, you know.
right, well, and you, like you said, you're working another job 5 days a week, you know,
Keep in mind, there's also a cost to a PRN.
yes.
So it's not like we can, I mean.
I mean, you
train
got the
get them
training, you
trained
got the
first.
uniforms, you got
Right.
everything.
Yes,
And if they're only actually coming, you know, if you don't have a requirement of a minimum amount at least that a PRN has to do, they may only be coming in 3 times a year.
I
but
wish we
put
had
a
more of the
uniform,
part-time,
you know, that's the
Yeah.
problem
I
is.
mean,
the part-time staff versus the
I mean,
PR.
I was looking at some of the costs that we have in the claims period today for a new PRN. It's not. cheap.
Well, obviously, there's things we need to look over,
Yeah.
you know, we need to talk about in the future, but again, I think you're absolutely right, they said that, hey, it's a live and learn process for us too, we're not, I mean, we're not sinking ourselves here by any means, so.
We knew, actually, we knew this was gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Right.
Yeah.
This is no,
It's
this
just
is not a
so-
surprise.
We
I would
just
make a
got,
motion to close the public hearing.
I would second that.
got a motion by Mike, second by Ned to close public hearing for FY 25 budget amendment. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
I,
Motion carries.
So with that being, excuse me, so with that being said, I need a motion to approve resolution number 1121 06 03 twenty 25 for the amendment to the county budget for fiscal year 24-25 and authorize the chair and auditor signatures on the record of hearing and certified to the state of Iowa.
so moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Ned, second by Mike to approve resolution number 1121 06 03 2025 for the amendment to the county budget for fiscal year 24-25 and authorize the chair and auditor signatures for the record of hearing and certified to the state of Iowa. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Motion carries.
We contract with a company called Cost Advisory Services. They have completed their work for the year, so I need a motion to approve and authorize the chair's signature on the certificate of cost allocation plan for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, you have? 2026?
Just change the dates, each date.
So we're going to,
Do it for another year?
oh,
I just changed last year's, I put last year's and just
okay.
upped it one
It just,
year.
it looks fun. Okay.
I know, it
Yeah,
always
okay,
looks
just want to make
funny.
sure that so for the fiscal year, June 30th, 2026, with cost advisory services to provide consulting services to recoup federal monies. Okay,
So
that
moved.
makes sense. Yep.
Second.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to approve and authorize chair signature on the certificate cost allocation plan for fiscal year ending June 30, 2026, with cost advisory services to provide consulting services to help recoup federal money. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
So with the approval last week of purchasing new election equipment, I did contact the company. They've agreed with my plan as far as how to pay for it. So today I need a motion to approve the purchase agreement and software license agreement between Henry M. Adkins and Son, Inc. and Jackson County for the Unison Voting Solutions, and the software purchase agreement between Tenex Software Solutions, Inc. and Jackson County for the precinct central touchpads electronic poll books.
So moved.
Second?
Got a motion by Nan, second by Mike to approve the purchase agreement and software license agreement between Henry M. Adkins and Son, Inc. and Jackson County for the Unisys, the voting systems, and the software purchase agreement between Tenex Software Solutions, Inc. and Jackson County for the precinct central touchpad electric poll books. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
This just means that I've worked here for a few years. I have to say that when I looked at the contract for solutions, I was a little bit taken back by how much money we're spending for them. It's no secret that Solutions, as we know them, has been sold to another company. The transition has been painful, a little rocky, but it's too expensive for Jackson County to abort this plan and go with a new system. So there's 40-some counties in the state of Iowa that use Solutions. So that's just kind of a full, and I think probably maybe in some of your ISAC meetings, maybe they've talked about this. But with that being said, we also, like I said, we can't abort the mission. I know Bjorn sent a letter. Harris is the new company, Harris and the counties. There's been a lot of discussion and such about how to smooth out the waters here. But it doesn't really matter. We need them. And so today I need a motion to approve the agreement and authorize chair signature on the information technology services agreement, managed services plan, document locator service plan, and the licensed code support agreement with Solutions, Inc. for fiscal year 25-26 for software and hardware maintenance effective July 1st, 2025 for $102,586.08.
Does this have an end date, like June 30th, 2026?
It's a year.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to approve the agreement and authorize chair signature on the information technology services agreement, the management services plan, document locator services plan, and the license code support agreement with Solutions, Inc. for fiscal year 25-26 for license for software and hardware maintenance effective June 1st, 2025 for $102,586.08. Any other discussion?
Did we have any indication of this number before we budgeted and before our sessions, or did we know this number going in, or do we know going forward?
We got the letter in like end of February, beginning of March,
March, maybe we got the
Yeah.
letter.
This is budgeted.
not the increase. Well, I put an increase
An
in.
increase in, I think it may be a little bit more of an increase than we anticipated maybe, but.
Yeah.
Was factored in.
I don't want to say a 7 or 10% increase, but I think this is a little bit more than that, so.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's all that I have for the board today.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much crosses everything off our list. Does anybody have anything else for the good of the meeting today?
I'd make a motion, we adjourn.
Second that.
Motion by Mike, second by Nin to adjourn. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Everybody have a good day.